Welcome to Perth, the capital of Western Australia, and today I'm going to be flying in the sweet spot of Emirates First. Coming up, all the detail of that larger, wider first class seat, or is it a suite it's so huge? I'm quite simply forced to try some of the finest wines known to an airline. There's fine dining with free-flowing caviar. Join me as I plough through the menu for all 11 hours to Dubai. There's a la carte nouvelle cuisine. I've got 8 courses to get through after takeoff. I'll show you everyone. And the height of catering. Bit of fillet with mash and gravy. Yum! It's a long, tedious flight, but somebody's got to do it, and I'm determined that someone should be me. I get to check out the onboard showers at 35,000 feet, and then back to my natural environment, the cocktail bar at the back of the A380. It's given me a brief chance to check out the Swan River Colony, as it once was, and is now home to a couple of million people in one of the most livable cities on the planet, and also one of the most remote, with sunshine, beaches, amazing food, and architecture that looks like an architect-fed medieval London shopping centre in a ChatGPT. But I've got a train to catch. The brand new airport train is unique by being narrow gauge and runs directly under the terminal, even if the station itself is a bus journey away. I should of course have got the complimentary chauffeur-driven car that Emirates offer their first class passengers, except they don't anymore if you book under the Qantas code share. It's Perth in Western Australia, where it's currently baking in 45 degrees. Don't worry though, I'm going somewhere much cooler because I'm going to be going off to Dubai, and I'm going to be experiencing that flight in one of the finest experiences known to man. Yes, I'm going to be flying in first class on the Emirates A380. This flight typically retails for $12,000. One way to Dubai. Check-in is open. Let's go. Don't worry though, I didn't pay anywhere near that. Later I'll show you how you can fly at the pointy end for peanuts. Check-in and security took less than a minute, giving me 5 hours to kill. Had a quick glance at the airport viewing deck, but still 2 more hours before the Emirates Lounge opened, so I made the only sane decision to fork out $80 for another lounge, the new Aspire Lounge, which is built in the airport's former control centre. It's inspired by Western Australia, nature and culture, and much more importantly, it's got a great cocktail bar, along with amazing views, lots of small nooks, and a giant wooden rat, or rather a quokka. You see, when the Dutch first discovered Australia, they thought they'd found a land infested with giant rats, hence the name Rotnest or Rat Nest Island. I digress. The lack of booze is making everything scarily clear, so that needs to be fixed pronto. Thankfully, Aspire don't charge anything more than the sticker price of entry if you want to delve into the extensive Western Australian wine list, which adds to the feeling of a boutique hotel located in a control tower. Perth Airport is wonderfully empty, and finally, I could take the long stairs down to the Emirates Lounge. It really is a delight, with a large central seating area and a huge number of the classic Emirates beige seats on a deep blue carpet. It's actually remarkable that in the most remote city on the planet, Emirates have created a lounge that could be anywhere on the planet. The Perth Lounge is identical to every other Emirates outstation lounge, with a bit of Dubai bling, the deepest beige this side of a mediocre 4-star hotel, and a small little bar on the corner. It was innovative when Emirates cracked open this design in Brisbane 20 years ago, but it's hard now to work out if you're in WA or Gatwick. It's great that Emirates maintained such a well-equipped lounge though. It was designed when Emirates had got 3 A380s a day going to this small outpost. That was before Qantas started its direct flights from Perth to London, Rome and Paris. Now Emirates struggles to fill its sole A380 a day. At least there's a separate dining area with buffet dining and 2 small walk-up bars. But get this, there aren't even any extra facilities for those in first, so I've got to slum it with either Verve or Moe. Oh well, minor first world problems. I guess I'll just be forced to endure it as stoically as I can. Although by this point I'd been flying all day and was as tired as a morose badger, so it was actually quite good to get any kind of bubbles inside me. You know, I hadn't originally planned to fly in first and wanted to book business, but business class was totally sold out, so I was quite simply forced to fly in first class. But enough grousing, as a flunky said, offering slivers of grouse and duck with mint dressing on Caesar salad. At least the Caesar didn't die in vain, and the ignominy of flying first but in the business lounge as a staff don't have it in for me. Yeah, pun intended. They invited me to take a seat in the restaurant, but I had to get up again to choose from the buffet. But what a buffet it was! Scottish pie, rissoles, or even beef Wellington. Of course, Perth is renowned for the quality of its pastries, so I ducked out of the mains and just went for salads and desserts. After all, they got fruit on them, so they've got to be healthy. But actually, the food is really very good. There's a lot of flavour in there and some lovely little canapes to act as sort of blotting paper for the glasses of poo. And since I was trying everything local, I went for a Kolsch beer. Now, the Eagle Bay Brewery, just a short 4-hour hop down the coast, makes this light and bright handcrafted beer. It's golden straw in colour, well-balanced, subtle fruit characters from the hops, and it's got all the atmosphere of the Margaret River wine region, with a soupçon of Cologne. There's also decent savvy from the same area of WA and lashings of verve. The Clicquot has got a nose full of baguette right out of the oven with a full body, whereas the Moët is more elegant with citrus and cream flavours. So there you go, that is the Perth Emirates Lounge, and it's really very good. It's lovely and quiet. There are lots of comfortable armchairs. There's not too much of a view, but that is a great restaurant, and you can also board straight to the A380 through the lounge, which is exactly where I'm going in a moment to enjoy those first class seats. But first, a bit more champagne, which is excellent. There's also a small little business centre with computers. Amazing seeing them still in a lounge when most people just bring their own devices nowadays. Bathrooms, they're both bland yet blingy at the same time. At least they come with showers to get rid of the red dust from the outback from your hair. Now, if you're in economy, you can actually buy your way into the lounge for a mere $200 for 2 hours. Plenty of local beer to try. There's the Cage Roads Single Fin, more refreshing than a face full of Frio Doctor. It's chock full of aromatic Aussie. If only I had time to nip down to the iconic container port in Fremantle, or should that be the ironic container port, and watch the ships coming in from this amazing brewery. But sadly, I was just in Perth for a few hours. But right now, there's a distinctive whining in the lounge, and that's the sound of my A380 arriving outside the door, which meant that I'd only got 3 more hours to cope with what is, in effect, an oversized waiting room. There's one further delight, a boarding gate at the lounge, so you can walk straight on board the aircraft and not meet anybody from the back of the bus. Tally-ho! The airport bongs are bonging, so I guess that means we're under starter's orders and our race-fit A380 is still tied up at the schnozzle but ready to go. It's time for the main event, Emirates First. And the front runners have got a bit between their teeth on the home stretch, and yet a dark horse came up in the final furlong to pit me in the post.
Should have me in first.
There's the proletariat waiting behind the glass screens while the bourgeoisie from the lounge can canter on board. Now, from Perth to Dubai is 9,000 kilometres, that's 5,500 miles in old money, almost all of it over the Indian Ocean, except for clipping a bit of Sri Lanka and Oman, pretty much all in the dark as well. I'm on the home stretch and champing at the bit. It's going down to the wire, but I've won by a nose. There we go, in Emirates First, before anybody else. Okie dokie, here we are. You can tell it's Emirates. After all, they put in enough fake marble and walnut to bring out the Las Vegas glamour vibe. That's better. Emirates Airbus A380s have got some of the most dense first-class cabins amongst all the airline's fleets, as there are 14 seats up front. They're spread across 4 rows in a 1-to-1 configuration, with there being 4 rows along the windows, 3 in the centre section. Front row is highly prized by frequent flyers. I call it Game of Thrones, and generally only Platinums even get to play. But the seats are, dare I say it, a bit squishy. I mean, they'll do, but there are vastly better airlines if you're looking for more space. Singapore Airlines A380, for example, they've got 6 first-class seats in roughly the same floor area. But they don't have the bling of Emirates. Oh no, I mean, who else would put in a motorised minibar? And then give you a bowl of snacks just in case you get peckish between the snacks. After all, that trek from the lounge was very arduous. Emirates A380's first cabin has got a dire lack of storage. There are no overhead bins. That makes the cabin feel more spacious, but it does have a wardrobe. Alas, far too small to accommodate even a small backpack, so everybody has got to store carry-ons in front of their seat. There's a thick mattress topper and a nice fluffy duvet, along with a couple of pillows stored right by the seat. The seat itself comes with 2 air vents, one beside you and one on the console in front of you, so you can blast yourself with air-conditioned air. There's also a light to attract attention when you need your champagne topped up. Sadly, the minibar is a pure gimmick because it just contains water. Yeah, best fold that away then. And of course, there's an amazing and most vital thing that you need on an aeroplane. A pen. Take it and guard it with your life. In economy, there'd be a bun fight for this. Comes with a matching stationery set with a notebook for jotting down your journals, if you can remember what handwriting used to be. Emirates claim that its pyjamas are moisturising. I've no idea how or why you come to that, but they're pretty comfortable. Slippers too. Then Arabic coffee, which is so strong it makes you feel the opposite of drunk. I think that's Canard. It's certainly a diuretic, so to help, Emirates have a built-in moisturising kit into the seat with a mirror as well. But that's not the amenity kit. Oh no, there's a special Bulgari one in first, and these have real street value. The perfume alone retails for north of $450. This is Le Gemme Désiré, a rich and sophisticated floral scent. There's also a matching face and body emulsion, along with a dental kit, cleansing towel, deodorant, tissues, and a fold-away hairbrush. You can generally make back much of the cost of your flight by flogging these kits on Fleabay. Oh, that's better. Finally, after nearly 15 whole minutes, a hallmark Emirates service springs into action. Gonna make it champagne time. But spot this, for pre-flight champers, we get the same Moet as served in business, not Dom Perignon on the menu. If only because it's slightly cheaper and also saves the crew having to open another bottle. And that's Emirates in first class. Getting a little dated by now, but nevertheless it's still one of the best first class cabins in the sky. Well done, Emirates.
Guy, Paul Brooklyn from England. I'm from Scotland myself, and also joining us today is Captain Anthony Armstrong from the Netherlands. Everybody's on board, we've just got last of the luggage moving on the aircraft. We're expected to start our engines in the next 15 minutes.
The Emirates First Suite is an Instagram dream, and it's even got amazing fully closing doors, turning the seat into a cabin. Although whether it's worth the eye-watering price for a door is between you and the bank manager. But I had to open it just so I could collect the menus.
Flight time today is 10 hours and a half, and we're going to be climbing up to 40,000 feet. Taking off here in the southerly direction, shortly after departure, we'll take a right turn, directly over the sea, and then you follow the progress to the flight, and from there you back to the suite in front of you. We're expecting to get a smooth flight, however, please respect the seatbelt signs and also keep the seatbelt.
Let the show begin. It's pushback on time out of Perth, which is insanely busy right now with the twin A380s leaving for the Gulf. That's Qatar's A380 next door. Oh, today it's grilled Patagonian toothfish day, before which is seared tuna, caviar and prawns. I think the cabin's on a seafood diet tonight. They seafood and then eat it. Talking of seeing things, that's Qatar's A380, which the airline swore it would never fly again, only to now put them all back into operation, as you can't get a better aircraft from a passenger's perspective for long-haul operations than the A380. And there we go, up and out of Perth, from where you can see the two terminals on one side of the runway and two on the other, in a remarkable piece of planning, which means there's now a 30-minute bus ride between them and a constant row with Qantas over which terminal they are permitted to use. Second piece of history actually, while we're about it, Emirates used to run 3 777s a day to Dubai from here, and then cut it down to a morning and evening A380, and now we're down to just the evening A380. But at least there's a fantastic view of Perth by night out of the window. And that's the estuary of the Swan River, named by the Dutch explorer Wilhelm de Vlaming in 1697 on an expedition to discover the famous black swans, which were previously just a myth. It's also famous for its remarkable number of pubs, and I know some fantastic breweries down there. Time to grab the PJ and slippers, kick off the Tims and settle back with an ice-cold DC and a treble vodka. Don't worry, you haven't accidentally stumbled onto another Trek travel report which stays off the booze. It's movie night at the front of the plane now. I'll get some popcorn in a moment, but meanwhile headphones are in the zipped-up pouch at the front of the seat. There's a remote under the armrest, just in case it's too much trouble to reach the iPad by the window. Right, let's get some entertainment going. Noise-reducing headsets are by Bowers & Wilkins, the best of British audio. They're made in Worthing in West Sussex with a lovely balanced sound profile, and they grace Abbey Road Studios, among many. These are the top-of-the-range headsets at £1,000 a pop. Sadly, they have to stay on the plane. Alas, one of the weakest elements about the Emirates experience is the in-flight entertainment, which is called ICE, which stands for Information, Communications and Entertainment. Now, there are dozens of films and TV box sets listed, but it must be said finding anything worthwhile among that lot can be a struggle. Of course, there are still 3 cameras installed in the tail, nose and belly of the A380, which is really good. You can see where you are. There are actually 3 TV screens. You can play a different channel on each, although I tend to watch a film on the big screen, the moving map on the iPad, and the outside camera on the remote. I make it snack time, and it's great to see that in First, the Emirates snack bowl contains a tube of hangover-reducing tablets. But in First, you get everything, including crew, who, as soon as they saw me look at the snacks, suggested champers. Ah, that's more like it. Despite some quite severe turbulence and maybe wonder if the Vogon fleet had arrived, we kept the Dom Perignon flowing. It's actually named after a Benedictine monk who was an important quality pioneer, and it's a vintage champagne, meaning that all the grapes used to make the wine are harvested in the same year. And to go with it, the crew suggested a bowl of mixed olives. It's certainly better than many airlines where all they do in first is warm your nuts or even bung them on a tray in the bag. One of the standout features of the Emirates seat in first class is that right in front of the seat there is a mains power socket. This may seem like a trivial point to note, but it's easy to get at and not so badly hidden away that trying to find it makes you feel like your brain is leaking out of your ears. Right, time to get up and check out the bathrooms. Aviation has come a long way over the years and airlines have got some amazing amenities, but check out this. I'm not joking, Emirates has got 3 amazing bathrooms in A380 First Class. These 2 massive shower suites are up the front. Behind the silver door there's a huge amount of space, and like any civilized airline bathroom, there are heated floors and you can adjust the temperature. Plenty of amenities as well. I love the stack of towels too, although the bright lights of the mirror meant I looked like a bad piece of taxidermy. And then when I came out, I discovered the first class bar. Some of these spirits have got a price tag in the hundreds per bottle. Indeed, with that much choice, I decided to apply the principle of Occam's razor. In other words, the least complicated solution is the best. And that meant, once I was back at the seat, I decided to just plough through the wine list. And what a wine list! Not quite as pricey as that Domzo, but we've got some quite passable bottles that don't taste like paint stripper. There are 4 whites, and I dived headfirst into the Chateau de la Fuselier Blanc. The rejuvenated estate in Bordeaux produced an excellent grape in 2014, and it's got the fragrance of freshly peeled grapefruit and lemon rind. Mind you, it's 60 quid a bottle if you can find any on the ground, so it's well worthwhile tucking into here. Menu looks absolutely excellent, and my vast tray table is released with the touch of a gold button. The amuse-bouche is a cube of melon with tuna and cream cheese, accompanied by crab in a whiskey glass with slices of apricot. Yum, need that as a palate cleanser. The Fusel Blanc keeps on flowing. It's got a full body, it's tightly knit, long and intense. I'm excited to see how this one develops. Even the crab is quite decent. It is actually much better than it sounds, if you can keep it on the fork, that is. Straight after another glass of wine, next up, I make it caviar time with all the trimmings. It's presented with a traditional selection of finely chopped onion, chives, grated egg, sour cream and lemon, all served with Melba toast and bellinis. Indeed, it's a question of, can I get through enough caviar to make up for the airfare? I previously researched the cost of every item on board, but with Emirates now serving gourmet caviar on Royal Doulton fine bone china, well, this would normally set you up for a couple of £100 in a square mile, although very much infra dig to mention it. That really is good. However, Emirates has now changed its caviar policy for first-class passengers. It says you can now savour unlimited portions of the Persian caviar as part of the dine-on-demand service. Yet you can even have it as a snack with your movie, and it comes with a mother-of-pearl spoon. Of course, using the wrong spoon would get you ejected by the staff, and it's good to see it hasn't been enhanced out of existence by Emirates. Indeed, it's very much an Emirati special and used to combat the ziggurat of life when you've got the trauma of flying in and out of Dubai. Yes, it really is that good. The Caviar is from Gourmet House, and it used to be a special Iranian brand, but is now more often Beluga Caviar at over 50 quid a tin. The tin itself is metal, but with a special inert inside, and it goes very, very well with all the extra accoutrements, including the powdered egg. Sorry, grated egg. We aren't stuck in the 1940s. It's got cream, lemon and bellinis. And no, I don't mean the cocktail. Now, if caviar interacts with a metal spoon, the material oxidizes and alters the flavour of the caviar on a chemical level. So Emirates do as they should do, avoid a metal spoon, and instead do it the proper way, with a mother of pearl spoon. Right now, though, I need to sample the finest of the wines, and in this case it was Craggy Range Sauvignon Blanc. Now, the Craggy is a true star in the field of New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. Pale lime to pale straw, vibrant fresh lemon zest gives way to a distinctly freshly opened passion fruit aroma. At least that's what it says on the tin. Certainly the finish is long and multi-dimensional. I'd hate it to be in 2D. But what's this? It's $30 down there Murphy, or 16 quid in Waitrose. Now, it may have pretty aromas of meadow flowers, and I'd happily sink a couple of bottles of this on the train into Waterloo, but in first class on Emirates, where some of the bottles of spirits retail north of 4 figures, it's all a bit in for a dig. And I'm on the edge of my wine bottle to see what other culinary delights there are as we head over a lot of empty ocean. At least the dining comes with proper salt and pepper sets, although the same butter as you get in business class. Oh dear. There's a lovely selection of bread rolls, plus olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Unusually for an airline, they come in 2 different bottles on Emirates First. And talking of bottles, wine. The Penfolds RWT Shiraz is more like it, $200 a pop, and the embodiment of Barossa Valley Shiraz. Aged in French oak, it offers hints of vanilla and cedar. Appetizers, we haven't even got the mains yet, include traditional Arabic meze, which I'd normally go for due to the wonderful humorous tabbouleh. It's very filling. So instead, other alternatives include seared tuna with pickled shallots, red radish with caramelized onion mayonnaise, or green salad. Yeah, that rounds out the menu, so I went for the tuna with tofu and chili, ginger and sesame dressing. More wine? Why not? Carpe diem, I say on Emirates First, and I'm not going to carp about the Penfolds RWT. It's not quite the poor man's Grange of bin 389, but it's actually quite drinkable and goes perfectly with the tuna, which is crispy golden on the outside and rare on the inside. Healthy, delicious, full of flavour, and most importantly, it left me with a tiny bit of space for the mains. The mains are as good as the starters, with beef and mash, grilled Patagonian toothfish, lamb tagine in yogurt, or stir-fried tofu. Now, I'd peaked at perkiness with the RWT, so next up friskiness at $300 a bottle with the Chateau Clinet 2011. It has exceptional ripeness and a hint of truffle. I went for the seared beef fillet, served with mustard and tarragon juice, potato gratin and steamed broccolini. Standard operating procedure is you wait for the crew to slowly pour your gravy, tarragon juice, over your steak and mash while they describe how the beef was fattened, the farm it came from, and the vintage of the broccolini. But I was more interested in the wine. I showed no remorse in asking for a full half-litre Carif to be taken to my table. By transferring the wine to a Carif, you can discover the qualities of young wine, and it'll enhance the flavour by aerating the wine during pour-in. That frees the aromas and will make the wine more supple, so you can discover all the tannins. And the carafe itself means you can keep on pouring the wine without asking for another glass from the crew. Admittedly, they kept on trotting up, but it's much easier to just keep on pouring it yourself. And what better wine to try it with than the Chateaubriand Lichigny 2011? It's a rare chance to secure a magnificent wine from a top producer, and this is in seriously short supply. I was quite simply constipated with anticipation, and this wine didn't disappoint. The steak isn't bad either. In fact, it's one of the best steaks I've had on a plane. They're notoriously hard to get right, and many airlines end up with a kind of hard rubbery mass. But considering this lump of dead cow was raised in Western Australia, shipped live to the UAE, cooked in Dubai, snap frozen, warmed up in Perth after having been flown back, and then presented as if it was flame grilled for me in the middle of the Indian Ocean 2 days later, it's a brilliant achievement. Medium rare, it's lovely and tender. And with 2 carafes of wine, it tasted better than ever, but there's also room to ring the changes, so I swapped on to a 3rd carafe with the Salvaterre Shiraz from Beechwood, 2008 in Victoria no less. It's highly perfumed with a distinct red fruit preserve and floral character, really smooth and seamless and almost Pinot-like in its vibrant and weightless character. There are discreet fine tannins and acid flame from this wine, and it's just going down fantastically. I like to emulate Ulysses on a long-haul flight and to strive, to seek, to find and not to yield until I find the perfect glass of red. And this could be it. Instead of topping up my glass though, the crew kept on topping up my carafe, and it would be very rude to refuse. But the lights were starting to dim, and my fellow diners up front in first were starting to look like a corpulent mass with a good 7 hours of flying time to go. And that meant the meringue. It first appeared in an English cookbook in 1706 and was thankfully light and airy, served with chantilly cream and mango and passion fruit compote. It really hit the spot and goes down very, very well with more wine. This time a very sweet, treacly dessert wine. The 2014 Chateau Souterrain from Sauternes is harvested at a time late in the season that enhances the effect of the noble rot of the grapes. It may well be one of the best Sauternes of the vintage. Rich and fresh flavours of pineapple, honey and lemon so thick and treacly you can feel it peel the enamel off your teeth. By this point I was full enough for both this life and the next, but I wanted to make it through all the courses and crash out with a cheese. Sadly, this was a major disappointment, and although Emirates made an effort, nobody could provide an instruction manual as to what the cheeses actually were. The menu just listed them as boutique cheeses, which was a shame and a wasted opportunity. But nevertheless, the crew did provide another bottle of sweet dessert wine to compensate. Now, even though there's a bar in first, for a real post-dinner pub experience you need to take a quick walk through the cheap seats. And normally if I'm slumming it in business pleb, I'd spend really half the flight propping up the bar here. But this is an older style A380 with only side benches in the pub rather than the newer drinking booths. And despite the excellent Hampshire gins loaded, I could sense my liver was failing. Well, I say failed, there was some user intervention involved. So after a couple of gins, I wandered back through the dark blue cabin where the seats only cost 4 figures, as I wanted to try out Emirates' new Cinema in the Sky concept in first class, with salted popcorn, prawn cocktails, edam, and yes, even a selection of sliders. But before you could even say going short on a hard option with GameStop, it was time to get off the magic roundabout of bar hopping on the A380, and as Zebedee says, it was time for bed, after a quick trip to those huge bathrooms to change into my pyjamas. The bathrooms are equipped with a range of boiler amenities. Now these are lovely creams and oils and inspired by the Atlantic Ocean and the ancient Irish tradition of seaweed bathing. They're actually created by a couple of brothers from Sligo on the west coast of Ireland who initially created a retail seaweed bath called Lazy Days, and very good they are too. But right now it's time to return to my bigger, wider seat and settle down for some serious kip, which you can usually achieve in that bed. There's a first class loungewear with hydroactive microcapsule technology. I've no idea what that means, but it's designed to keep your skin hydrated during the flight. In Econo Y, you have to have your window blinds controlled for you, but up the pointy end they trust you to control all 3 of your windows yourself. You also have the joy of doors. Now they're 10 a penny in business class nowadays, so it's hard to emphasise just how revolutionary these doors were when Emirates introduced them on the A380 well over a decade ago. The crew also make up your bed for you, and then you can flick off the lights, hit the do not disturb button and lie down completely flat, and finally get some sleep. Well, I slept amazingly well. It's hard to sleep on a bed on a plane, but I managed to get a solid 6 hours sleep. Emirates offer plush, forked skin-like blanket in first class, as well as excellent bedding. Indeed, the soft and luxurious blanket is available at the Emirates official store. If you really want to buy one, you could blow 40 quid on it or 13,000 miles. I woke up 2 hours before Dubai with the crew asking if I'd like to take a shower, which is of course the main point of travelling on first in Emirates. Other airlines do have a shower in first, but it's only Emirates who've got a dedicated shower assistant who will not only clean the shower before you get in, but also time your visit to make sure you're not using up too much water. Indeed, when you're in this bathroom, it's hard to realise that you're in an aircraft at 38,000 feet. Just looking at it, it seems like, well, quite frankly, it looks like a standard 4-star hotel bathroom. But wow, it's on an aeroplane that even has luxuries like a hairdryer. So wow, there's even an amazing heated floor to keep your feet warm. It's fantastic. The shower, however, well, actually, it's just like a conventional shower. Emirates call it a shower spa. Yes, you hear correctly, and even give you a little tote bag so you can carry all the equipment into the spa. It's amazing that Emirates have thought outside the box, workshopped blue sky thinking and hammered the buzzwords to use this otherwise dead space. You only get a grand total of 5 minutes of hot water, which operates rather like a camping shower in a caravan, where the water's heated by a little 12-volt heater as it goes through to the shower head. That means the water's never really hot and the water's more a fine sprinkle, but it is a shower on a plane. The 5-minute limit means that you need to stop and start though if you want to wash your hair through. Plenty of towels in there and of course the obligatory perfume. The throne, of course, is hidden away under a little leather flap. Right, let's get outside, and the first class bar has now turned into a kind of shower reception area with a little tinkling fountain, and you can even get a cup of green tea while looking on the hoi polloi below. My bed's still made up from the land of Nod, and completing the spa-like experience, a tray of fruit and another cup of green tea await me at my seat, so I can slowly get to grips with morning, which I normally think is what you go into when the beer runs out. Still darkness in the cabin behind me, but I did have a look because, incidentally, if you're interested, if both of the shower spas are occupied, Emirates have got a third dedicated bathroom for first at the back of the cabin. It's even got a window, and of course in first, you should never have to queue. Hurrah! That'll be Dubai dead ahead, and it's just possible I have room for a full breakfast. There are 5 options: omelette, pumpkin, pancakes, muesli and cereal. Normally I avoid eggs on a plane, because I've had them before. Omelettes are notoriously hard to get right aloft or even on the ground, so with nerves of steel and an iron will, I decided to grit my teeth, bite the bullet and munch on some omelette. But they're done superbly, and I don't just mean the little bits of bullet between my teeth. The omelette is ranked right at the top of a 4-star level. Despite being frozen and reconstituted, it's amazing, as is a tomato ragu. Sadly, the same can't be said of the chicken sausages. Now, a cappuccino is one of the hardest things to get right on a plane too, so despite the metaphorical eye-rolling of the crew, I was determined to deal with the subjunctive, and it was equally amazing. There's a lovely basket of pastries too, and the odd combination of a croissant, a fairy cake and a bread roll from school lunchtime in the basket. Now we're heading over the desert and past Muscat, which at dawn should be an Instagram dream, but Dawn hasn't levered her head off the pillow yet, so it isn't. Wi-Fi is free for first and business class passengers, but only if you're a Skywards member with a Skywards number attached to your booking and not on a Qantas code share. However, it's free to join Skywards, so effectively you can get free Wi-Fi. If you're not a Skywards member, there's a paid Wi-Fi service at $20 for the flight, which isn't very first class. Well, there we go. That is Emirates in first class on the A380 all the way through to Dubai. The seat is amazing, the bar is fantastic, the food is great, and I cannot fault the booze. It is really very good indeed, and as for the service, absolutely, as you'd expect, first class. Well done. That really is very good indeed. On this flight, the crew just couldn't do enough. They went the extra mile, they suggested dishes to try, they offered cocktails, trip to the bar and a trip to the shower. And wow, those showers mean that you can get off the flight feeling better than when you got on. Also, only now do I appreciate only just how much Emirates have poured, if you'll pardon the pun, money into the wine list. It really was superb. So just how did I fly this amazing flight for peanuts, or rather a few glasses of fairly average wine? Well, I could have paid through the nose and ponied up the best part of 12 grand for the flight. That's one way just from Perth to Dubai, but there is a cheaper way. A first class reward ticket is only between 120 and 170,000 points from Australia to Dubai, or from Dubai to Europe. First is only 60 to 70,000 points, an absolute bargain. Now you can buy wine from Qantas with a side serving of up to 30,000 points. And with a Qantas credit card, you can also earn bonus points on that. Crate of 6 or 12 wine, $300 or $400. And if you're a Points Club Plus member, you get free wine delivery. That reduces the price of a first class Emirates flight to only a few $100s. And you've still got all the wine. So how did I find my 11 plus hours in first class? Well, I found it by just walking onto the plane, and it was there, and it was absolutely superb, even if I was as tired as a morose badger by the time I staggered off the plane. Admittedly, ahead of the hoi polloi who were slumming it in business class, so there are some perks. Now, I do hope you've enjoyed my reflective critique of privilege, frequent flyer privilege, that is, and do note, I tend not to take myself too seriously, so I hope you don't either. No, there's a wine list for that. Of course, I didn't tell Emirates I was travelling, and hence I received no perks from the airline. All my reviews are strictly self-funded, even if I do seem to have invalidated my liver warranty in the process. Emirates provided a golf cart for those in first to take them to the lounge, but oh dear, the Emirates First Class lounge at Concourse C is a bitter disappointment. It's okay, but it's the smallest, oldest and drabbest first-class lounge in Dubai. There is a restaurant, but it's pretty basic, and there isn't even a bar, just some pedestrian champers on request. Well, there we go. That is the Emirates A380 in first class from Perth to Dubai. And I've got to say, it was absolutely fantastic. Yes, there are newer aircraft that are out there, and there may be somewhat better aircraft that are out there. But in terms of a first class cabin right up the front with the A380, with its showers, with the fantastic food, and with a great staff, and a lovely little cabin as well, yes, Emirates for me absolutely wins. Well done, Emirates.